Here we are, the 48th episode of Museum in Lotus. We took a bit longer to get started today because we are actually preparing some important notes for later, huh? Am I right? Yeah. So, Museum in Lotus, we know through the sharing and introduction of the wonderful antique collections owned by Master Yun, and hopefully from there we can go deeper into his world of feng shui arts. A lot has happened to the universe of Master Yun's art.
Absolutely, yes.
For the past, because if it's the 48th episode, that means we have been talking about this for the past 48 weeks.
Yes.
There's a lot that's been going on. So, so the key, one of the things that happened just very recently is that we just went, or Master Yun just went to NTU, Nanyang Technological University, to give a lecture on his feng shui arts. That just happened very, very recently. And looking forward, there's even more exciting things that are about to happen. But we know today we are having a special night. It's like if you have every Wednesday on weekends, it's something special. We call it the Ladies' Night. It's because this Friday, it is actually Guan Ying's birthday. 3 birthdays. I think some of the birthdays we have covered before. But this coming Friday, 14th of October, is the last of Guan Ying's birthday in this 2022. I can't emphasize it enough. It is so important. It's the last Guan Ying's birthday in 2022, which means she had a birthday at the start of the year. Then there was one in June, July. Then this is the last one. I often tell my clients this is the one that will signify that a new year is coming very soon. And since Guan Ying's birthday is upon us, we are going to talk about, in general, female goddesses. Hence, tonight's topic, Ladies' Night.
Absolutely. We have some beautiful figures. They're all female. So tonight is about talking of ladies, talking about women, talking about very special character, different. They come from different places, and they were chosen because they come from different places. But they're all women, and all very exciting in terms of what they project, in terms what people believe for them, and in terms of period. I would also say that they share the same period. And in Chinese, it would be the, basically it would be the...
When?
19th century,
19th century, 20th century. That's Qing.
Qing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
Qing.
Qing. Yeah.
Qing dynasty. So in different part of the world, with one exception, they're Qing dynasty. And in particular, we have at the beginning of the Qing dynasty, this wonderful Guan Yin. We have spoken about her. We will touch about her. But then we have a beautiful pair of wonderful copper, repoussé, and chase technique of two...
Similar? Are they similar?
Can I say they are identical?
Right.
They are identical with one exception. The direction, as you can possibly see, is different. But other than that, as you can possibly see, they're almost identical.
Well, let me first define this thing. You mentioned that this is copper.
This is copper.
This is copper.
This is just one sheet of copper.
One sheet of copper beaten into this very vivid and 3D shape that we see here. So of course, this figurine or the figure that we see in the center, we are familiar. This is Guan Yin from Qianlong, Kangxi era, which we are familiar. We talked about this before during our Chongyang, before our Double Yang festival. And actually it represents a golden age that we know. It's her birthday this this Friday. So we brought out other her female colleagues, if you might want to say.
Female colleagues.
Deities. And this one, it's not Guan Yin. Who is this actually?
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, first of all, we're talking about 19th century, end of the 19th century. And that coincides with all the beginning of the 20th century. And that's Qing dynasty. That has, where does it come from? Interesting question. It actually comes from Tibet.
So this is a Tibetan deity, goddess.
It's a deity and very much worshipped for the reason that I will illustrate and share with you.
It's interesting because actually we have covered a lot of grounds on
Yes.
Tibet before. We have even covered there are mystical creatures like the snow lion and so on. We have covered the scripture manuscript covers.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of sculptures that are from Tibet. And if there are sculptures, if there are figurines, and they are males in appearance, this one from Tibet, copper, one sheet beaten out, and then this is actually a female goddess. So
It's a female goddess.
100% it fits into
Absolutely.
tonight's topic of Ladies' Night. So who is this person?
I will get into that.
Okay.
But before we get into this, let me tell you, this is copper, chasing and repoussé. We've touched about this technique. Let me show you from the back, and you will be able to admire the work that it was done by a very skillful artisan. So, in other words, through hammering, slow hammering, then the sheet of copper came outside, after
see.
which, from the part that it was beaten, then what happened is that it went in again, and that is the chasing technique. And this is all in order to obtain the beautiful detailing that you see.
We can
So
see
this
it.
This is the technique. We put the technique aside.
Right.
And
And there, you can see it's quite the thin sheet of copper.
very, very thin sheet.
And
very, very thin
the
sheet.
fact that it's such a thin sheet and they managed to make the goddess protrude, stand out quite thickly, it's quite the piece of work.
It's a piece of work. Then you see the gilding, which is very important. And you will see that we have 4 holes. And the 4 holes
Right.
make me think that these 2 pieces were basically a setup of much larger construction. It was definitely either on wood or on a wall. And these little holes, 4 holes, would just allow to attach the piece onto the wall or onto the wood. This is the technicality.
Which means we can imagine these 2 are part of a bigger component. It would have been on the wall, maybe because similar but flipped.
Yes,
So
the flip side.
maybe yours is on my side, maybe mine is on the other side, I don't know.
Yes.
So, but it will be a well-balanced image that you have the same goddess on 2 sides of a bigger formation.
Now, when we look at it, let's name it to start with. And I think this is the exciting part. And she is the Paldem Lamo.
Pauden Lamo.
And this is the name of the goddess. Now, she's fearful. She is a deranged mother. The reason why is so strong is because she is the greatest known protector in the female world of Buddhism.
I see.
So you just look at her. You look at the facial expression. She's not of a gentle lady, as we see in this wonderful Guanyin. She's there to combat. She's a warrior in her own right.
So this is a lady warrior, lady warrior deity of sorts.
Deity of sorts. Now, let me just give you an analogy. If you think about a mother, and she is a mother, when it comes to the protection of the child, there would not be a stronger, determined, I would even call a tiger feel to protect. Maybe men cannot do it at the same level. But when it comes to the mother, she does a splendid job. Look at the analogy. As she protects her own children, her own son, she protects Buddhism.
Right.
And I mean, it's so intense, where she's depicted in what people could actually say, it's a horse. It's not a horse. This is a donkey.
This is a donkey she's riding on.
This is a donkey. And look at her. The way she is bejeweled. She's covered, neck, wrist, everywhere you can see jewel. Beautifully executed in detail. Now, when we look at the face, and let me tell you, I have traveled to Tibet,
Right.
and you look at the facial expression, they're not much dissimilar to what you would see in a woman. Not because they're not beautiful, they're very beautiful. But living in an altitude, on an altitude of over 3,000 meters above the sea level,
Right.
having snow most of the year, and a freezing wind, those facial expression, although gentle, they would have the sort of marks that the weather, and these are not the ladies, these are not the person who can afford to have creams and so on and so forth. So very strong, very determined. Again, she's on a horse. Sorry, she is on a donkey. She is on a donkey. But look at the richness of the donkey. Look at the tail of the hair. Look, it's galloping, the donkey. Beautifully rendered. When we look at the field is very simple. But at the bottom, there's a flower. And this flower is half of the petal of the lotus.
Right.
Moving upwards, we see the same detail interspaced by skulls. And that gives you already the starting point of how fierce she is. Now, what happened in the legend? In the legend, the husband was the king of Lanka.
Okay.
And he used to kill people, devotees, people who used to follow the Dharma. This strong woman who loved the children, and the children, her own children, are at the same level of the Buddhist devotees. She said to him in the legend, "You continue to do this, and I will kill our own son. I will drink the blood. I would cut the skull," that's the reason of the skull, "in order to defeat you." And you know what? She did it. She killed her own son. And you see in one of the hands, she basically is depicted often with the skull of her own son.
I see. While identical, I'm looking at the one you're holding.
Yes.
And the one I'm holding, actually they are holding on to different
Can I see?
treasures and weapons. For instance, this one is a bell.
Yes.
And this one, it's more like a treasure chest or a lotus pot. You can see that. Yours on the hand on the right, it's like a pickle or an axe of sorts. And then there's something else.
As I mentioned, they are similar, but not identical.
Right.
Even the artisan who made them, who crafted them, apart this difference, which you have rightly pointed out, they would have been made differently. And they are. These details tell us about the difference. Now,
I see.
in Tibet, when I actually went and saw monasteries, I didn't see even one of this deity. And I was actually asking myself, knowing about the history, why? They're actually covered.
Too fierce?
Too fierce. They are too fierce. Because the way women are symbolized, gentle, caring, protector, and then in this case, you see them with a sword, you see them in a fighting mode, and that is the fighting of a deity for Buddhism. Beautiful.
I see.
Beautiful.
So actually, we have quite the. I mean, we are supposed to understand better about Master Yun's world of art through this antiques. That's number one. But also, as I mentioned to you and Mr. Pino as well, it's sort of like the ladies' night because Guan Ying's birthday is just this Friday. Very important. I can't emphasize it enough. The last of her birthday in this 2022. So a lot of the clients are preparing for this Friday. New collections, paintings to be hung up, and so on. So what we have is that from Guan Ying, which we already know this character, especially during Chongyang time, she is known for her mercy. She is
Yes.
known for her kindness, compassion. But that would be too flat an image about how a lady is like. Because they did say, there's a sentence, am I right? There's a sentence in English, never incurred a woman's wrath.
Yes.
Am I right? Yeah, never incurred a woman's wrath, WRATH for that matter. While they can be compassionate and merciful, but if we take reference from this deity, which Mr. Pino has greatly pointed out, her name is Pelden Lamo.
Lamo.
If I'm right,
Lamo.
in Chinese, it's one of a 斗母, and probably her name is called 吉祥斗母. So a guardian level kind of deity. And I tell you, in order to, they can kill, they can be fierce, they can be like tigers. Just look at this one. It's riding on a donkey, holding a lot of threatening weapons and so on. Never incur a woman's wrath.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Catholicism.
Catholicism. I mean, again,
does it have woman deities? A woman, there are a lot of women saints there, right?
A lot of women saints, but they are all very peaceful. I don't think, not to my knowledge, there's one of the female saints, that is projected or seen as a warrior.
But
it's not.
Mother Teresa.
Yes.
I heard that she is, no, I'm not saying she's a warrior, but actually she is very strict and disciplined in that sense.
In that sense, you're right. I think that the saint that I am aware, they're disciplined, they are devoted, they would not eat, they would not do this, they would not do that. But when we compare to what we have just explained,
of course,
a warrior,
of course,
a woman who would not even have any hesitation to kill his own son for the benefit of Buddhism, in order to punish, if you wish, the king of Lanka, her own husband. And then she left the palace, and she was on a horse, and the horse saddle was the skin of her own son.
Right.
And she drank his blood. So was it worth it for the Buddhism and for the faith and for the protection that she provided? I think it was. I think it was.
I see.
So I admire, I fear this kind of women with this character, but no character, nothing would happen.
Well,
so it's incredible.
Just to incur their wrath, yeah. We know Kuan Yin's mercy. We have seen this Pelden Lamo's fierceness and courage and going all out to kill and so on. But they are not the only female goddesses and deities around. Because we have one that's in between both of us.
Yes.
It has to be on the floor because it's extremely heavy, carved of stone for sure. And she's also a female goddess.
She's a female goddess.
Okay.
She's from the Hindu belief, but not India. This is a 15th century, can even be earlier than that, a stele, and we've already mentioned in the past what a stele is, and she represents the deity Durga.
Durga.
That's the deity that slains the buffalo. And the reason why she slains the buffalo, we will just mention in a minute.
I see. So we have a representative of female deities or goddesses from China, the Guan Yin, that is of Kangxi period, we mentioned. We have one that is of the fearsome warrior that is from Tibet. And this Hinduism, yes, but not from India.
It's not from India.
It's
this
from,
is from Indonesia.
It's from Indonesia.
Possibly Java. And that is before Indonesia became a Muslim country. So there was a very strong Hinduism, which still exists, And that is in Bali.
Yes, yes, yes. If you go to Bali Island now, majority of the places you'll be visiting, temples per se, those are the Hindu temples. So we have one that's from China, we have one that's from Tibet, and we have one in between us that's from Indonesia during the Hindu periods. And you mentioned, it caught my attention, it might be from the 15th century.
If not earlier.
If not earlier, 15th century, we're talking about 1400 plus. That means 600 over years.
Easily. But can I say, let me stress again, I wouldn't go in debating the age, but it could definitely be earlier than that. This is volcanic rock. If anybody comes here and even tries to move it, you will feel the weight of a piece like this.
It's very heavy.
I mean, not less than 80, 90 kilos, if not even more than that. Come and take a look at the details, from the facial expression of extreme beauty, the details of the eyes, of the nose, of the mouth. Again, she is bejeweled. She is so much rich and beautiful rendered. She's portrayed at times with even 8 arms. And in the 8 arms, you have various symbols. As the video photographer here is getting into details, she's becoming alive.
I mean, you tell me that this sculpture is 600 years ago. We saw the one that's from Tibet, the bronze, the copper sheet, and then beat it out as this kind of 3D. 600 years ago, and they managed to carve such a 3D goddess, such details. It's stunning.
This is, I mean, when I look at the profile from the side, it's easily between 15 to 20 cm depth. So you imagine the skillful artisan, and with the chisel and all the rest of the instrument which were available at the time, not the sophisticated ones that we have now, and beating the chisel with the hammer slowly and making this exquisite piece.
Can you tell us more about this deity or goddess? It's called Durga, am I right? You mentioned Durga?
It's the Durga.
Durga, okay, Durga, D-U-R-G-A.
Correct.
Durga from Indonesia, Hinduism goddess,
Correct.
protector. I mean, I look at her, I don't think she is less fierce than the Lamo that we saw just now. I'm not sure whether she's as merciful as Guan Yin or not. But of the ranks, what does this goddess do?
Before we enter into that, let me give some little adjectives which will sort of focus like a binocular on the detail of this splendid deity. She's the feminine power. She is full of determination and character. She is the representation of the strength, and she is also the deity of protection.
I see.
Now, she is laying, as you can see, this bull. Why?
So she's the bull slayer.
Bull slayer. This little animal is evil. This little animal would kill. This little animal was granted by one of the gods the possibility of he would never be killed by men. At the same time, he would have the possibility of changing continuously in any animal, any other human being. For 15 days, the Durga continued to look, to watch, until she was able to kill him. And by killing him, actually he killed whoever did not believe and did not want the prosperity of Hinduism through an animal. It's incredible. And she did it all by herself.
Wow.
When you see it from the sides, as I'm just admiring, and it's something that I'm looking, elongated ears.
Yes.
That, of course, gives the idea of the richness, but also she is ready to listen to the people who are suffering, to the people who are in need of help, to the people who are sick, and she would do miracles. She would do anything in her power to protect. She doesn't ask for anything. She just asks for devotees to recognize what she is able to do for them.
I see. How this deity, the guy is sculpted, because it's Guan Ying's birthday that's coming, there are elements of it that's quite similar to how a Guan Yin might be. I'm not sure whether they cross paths or not, because when I'm counting here, this Durga sculpture, she has 8 arms.
8 arms.
8 arms. And each of the arms, it's holding on to something special. If you are familiar with the 1,000 hands Guan Yin, that I think you should be familiar with that. That every single of the hand, it's holding on to a different artifact, and they actually mean different blessings and so on. I mean, briefly, what I look like, this is like an arrow.
Yes.
This is like a sword of sorts. Sword,
Yes.
you know, yeah. And this is like a wheel that's on fire. Maybe a Dharma wheel or something. Dharma wheel? Yeah, okay.
That is the Dharma wheel.
Then here seems to be holding on to the tail of the slayed bull.
Yes.
Am I right?
Absolutely
Yeah, my
right.
guess is correct. Yeah. This is something is holding on to a symbol of sorts. I'm not too sure what is that, but very interesting. This one seems to be like a whip or a shield and a whip or something. Or maybe this is the shield and the whip is held by this hand.
Yes.
Okay. And then maybe an assistant here, a sort of like something that's going on. What is this?
Can I say, it's definitely, it can be an assistant or a devotee.
Right.
And she's actually putting a hand onto the head to say, I'm here. Don't have any fears. I'm actually protecting you.
A mini god, maybe.
It could even be a mini god. It could
Right.
Be. It
So
could be.
every single hand, it portrays a certain power, a certain prestige, so that the achievement of slaying the bull, it's there. It's stunning.
And look at the headgear. And what I suggest, if you do come, we have here a magnifying glass, but do bring your own if you wish, and just look attentively, and you will be seeing magnificent detail, which we don't have the time. Neither I want to bother you with sharing all these details. Discover it yourself.
Right, especially here. I can see it. I'm not sure whether you can see it on cam then. The whole headgear that is going on here, a lot of intricate details. I'm surprised that it lasts for 600 years. What is the material?
Volcanic stone.
Volcanic stone, my goodness.
Volcanic
My
stone.
goodness.
Yes.
So it's definitely, I think it's something you would see, this whole sculpture is something you would see in, let's say, Asian civilization museums, that it's a representation of how the Hinduism culture is like in Indonesia before it became an Islam country. It's 600 years old,
But
ladies
Mr.
and
Kant,
gentlemen.
we are in museum in Lotus, and in the collection of Master Yun,
100%.
I've said it many times, there are exquisite, important, and I would even go to the extent of museum pieces. But the beauty about what the pieces are shown here is that you can actually touch them. You
Right.
can actually spend the time that you wish. You can actually admire and listen to what we have to share, but make up your own mind. Find what talks to you. And I'm sure each and every piece would talk to you. And the same voice will just lead you to Master Yun's fengshui painting. It's the same voice.
I see.
It doesn't change.
Well, it's quite a coincidence that because of Guan Ying's birthday is coming on Friday. Actually, I'm saying this again and again. We see quite the whole spectrum of the personification of how ladies and lady powers is going to be like, or is like, from these three deities. We see Guan Yin and with all her mercy, the one from China. We see the one in Tibet, the Lamao, the Doumu, or the Jixiang Doumu, with all her fierceness to the extent that even going to the extent of killing her own child. And we see something like, maybe something like in the middle, she's a fighter, she slays the bull. But if you look at her face, peaceful, harmonious as always. The Durga, am I right? The Durga?
Burger.
So quite the spectrum of how ladies are like. Am I right?
And I would like also to share my own personal view. These three wonderful ladies, they share one characteristic. One comes from Indonesia. The other one we said comes from Tibet. The other one comes from China. But what do they share? There's one element that I can see. They are aristocratic. They knew in their own right the projection that they had to make, the impression at the same time, and how people would follow them. So what they say these days, they have karma. And they certainly have karma in their own right. So different places, different stories, different deities, but they all share, again, in my vision, the aristocracy, the beauty, the power, and the determination to protect.
I see. I mean, we have always known Master Yun's art as a strong, powerful, and so on. Of course, if you go to the basic motifs, MOTIF, that he first started painting, it was peacocks, because hardly anyone will actually associate peacocks with masculinity. It's a bit different because peacocks are beautiful, they are proudly beautiful, and so on. So there are strengths in the Chinese world, what we call yin and yang, that would be presented in Master Yun's art as well. And I also think there's one thing that's similar with all these three goddesses, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and so on, is that if you look at them, well adorned with jewels, and of course with great jewels, then they will come with maybe great fashion as well. We know Master Yun's cranes and peacocks. There are no ordinary cranes and peacocks. They are the ones that are the best versions of themselves. So a Guan Yin can manifest to us in simpler terms, without jewels, simply dressed. But in order to show the awe, the power, I mean, look at the Durga, look at even the Doumu that we talked about just now. It's full of jewels. It's full of they're dressed up for the whole thing to show you that they are powerful and prosperous at the same time, quite like Master Yun's art. And of course, one thing that I'm sure the three of them, and probably other ladies as well, would definitely appreciate is that this October, 26th to 28th October 2022, Master Yun's feng shui art and Eric Resina's silk fashion, they are having a Chimes event exhibition. An exhibition and a fashion catwalk at Chimes Hall.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm sure this is something that hopefully I'm right, that no ladies can reject. You have the best feng shui art in the world. You have silk fashion that is going on. It's going to be a cross of cultures, cross of industries, cross of thoughts, everything. The feng shui art is a luxury to the soul. And of course, when you have silk fashion, that's luxury to the skin. And I tell you, I've seen Eric Resina's fashion design personally, and it's amazing. This is actually the poster that is just behind me. That's Eric Resina, and that's Master Yun. I think we can see it here. Yeah. Today, I start to receive messages from clients that they have already started to receive invitation cards that we have sent to your addresses. And you will have a closer look at this, and you realize that the event goes on 26th, 27th, and 28th October. And the most important night of them all, have two. Yeah, please hold on. Yeah. The most important night of them all is the one on the 28th of October. All goddesses would be very impressed by this whole event, I'm sure. 28th of October is only for invited VIPs. We will announce shortly how you can be invited for the event. One thing for sure, those who have mastering art and painting, you will have your invitation with the golden seal here. You see here, there's no golden seal yet because you have to be invited for that. But 26 and 27 is Wednesday and Thursday is open to public. You can come by the whole day, the event and the catwalk and the show. They'll start at night at about 7 o'clock, plus minus. Every single night, 26, 27, 28, there will be fashion show. Just that 28th is the grand gala night. More design pieces will be shown. A lot of people will be coming from all over the world to attend this marvelous event. The last time when we had an exhibition in Chimes was in 2019 November.
Right.
And before that, it was in October 2018. So because of the whole pandemic, this exhibition hasn't gone on for a while. So this is the first time that all of us can gather for this grand event. And there will be lucky draw. Oh. There will be sumptuous prizes to be won. And the question is, how are you going to win it? The key thing, or the hint, is actually in the title of the whole event. It's called the Friendship of Prosperity and Elegance. Friendship of Prosperity and Elegance, which means that for every single day, 26th, 27th, 28th, if you want to win great and sumptuous prizes from this event, this art exhibition, this fashion show in Chimes, simple, bring a lot of friends. And with a lot of people around you, you might just be able to win the lucky draw. It's not going to be as simple as a lucky draw we conduct here on at Museum in Lotus. Just pick your name, not that simple, okay? There are more sophisticated things that I will share, hopefully this Friday or next week. The key thing is that what I know, bring a lot of friends. Bring a lot of friends. And probably you will get to win great prizes.
Which is fantastic. You get to see a show.
Yes.
You get to admire extremely beautiful textiles and the way that they've been crafted in something really special. And a runway, so beautiful people feeling and wearing something really special.
I think it has been a long while since a lot of us managed to attend, let's say, a fashion show or a 300 or 500 people gathering. And this one is really something that is a gathering of the prosperity coming together at a very prestigious place, Chimes Hall, which is over 100 years, 120, 130 years of history in Singapore. So it's really a chance not to be missed. Have a great evening there. Champagne will be served, of course. You get to see Master's art pieces. And I always emphasize, and I was talking about this just now because today is the 48th episode of Museum in Lotus. Am I right?
It's
so even within these 48 weeks, a lot has happened to Master's art. I was just mentioning in the beginning, Master's just lectured in Nanyang Technological University, the first feng shui artist, or the first feng shui master to be invited to NTU to lecture about feng shui. And it was the first lecture about feng shui arts. So a lot is happening. And you can take it that this October event at Chimes, it's really another level, a new stage of accumulation of the achievements that Master has achieved in his universe of art. It's something worthy to come and celebrate together, not just by yourself, but also with your friends. Therefore, friendship of prosperity and elegance. And I'm sure it has been a long while since we've seen people and friends all around the world coming together for the common language, like what we are talking about today. 3 lady goddesses. They have their similarities. Like when we talk about Master's art, his art can be in Singapore, his art can be in NTU, his art can be on the Great Wall of China, can be in Europe, can be in Bangkok, and somehow even people do not know the language, they can feel it. They can feel it. They can feel, like, let's say, the Tao of heaven. They can feel what's going on. Somehow they can connect with it, even though they might not share the same cultural background. I think that is something that we should celebrate about as well in this October, right? So look forward to that. And a more sophisticated lucky draw on the day. Bring your friends. But before that, a simpler lucky draw for today's episode. All right. While we do that, as usual, the question is actually very simple. Just put it into the comments, right? We say that this Friday is 14th of October. It's Guan Ying's last birthday of 2022. We also took a huge chunk of time to talk about the amazing exhibition and fashion show that's going to happen with us, with Eric Rizina's Silk Fashion. Simple. What are the dates to the exhibition and fashion show at Chimes? What dates to what dates of what month? Simple, huh?
You have to basically look carefully and, sorry.
Oh, there'll be one. So my question is very simple. What are the dates of the Chimes exhibition? What dates to what date of what month? Put it in the comments. Chao Chua, it's number 1, second.
Congratulations, all the best, good luck, elegance, and prosperity. And here we have the second one.
Let me see.
Sorry.
Betsy Yo, congratulations.
Congratulations, Betsy. Good
I see
luck,
Madam Lai
prosperity, and
answering the correct date. Yeah. Third one, Ling Ming Yu, congratulations.
congratulations. Very good.
3 winners. So the question I asked was that what are the exact dates of the Chimes exhibition and fashion show? It's going to be a great friendship of Mastin's art and Eric Rizina's Silk Fashion. You have to be there. If you missed all the events this year, this is one event that you want to be there. And not just yourself, but bring your friends as well, because it is the friendship of prosperity and elegance. Right? Anything else to share, Mr. Pino?
These ladies are whispering and talking about us and saying,
Let me top up some for you, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course, before the whole event, 26th to 28th, it's Guan Ying's birthday. Not 26th, 28th, sorry. This Friday is Guan Ying's birthday. Very important. A lot of people are preparing for it. So get your collections quick, wear them, and attend the event on 26th to 28th. Just like this lady goddesses here, all well adorned with beautiful jewelries.
Absolutely.
We'll be seeing you next week for the next episode of Museum in Lotus. Cheers.
All the best. Stay tuned.